Hello and welcome back to a fresh new episode of Knock Off the Perch. European victories hit different. They hit different when it's an away game. And what a game did we have on our hands? I mean, no one expected United to go to Athletic Bilbao, one of the best defensive teams in La Liga to this time, and beat them 3-0. But that's exactly what United did. And what a game. What a game, Aroj. Didn't believe it for like 5 minutes, like that we are actually leading by such a big margin in the first half.
Yeah.
How was the game for you?
No, remember we were chatting before the game and we were talking about sneaking out a win or draw would be good enough. And I think that was the general sentiment in most of the fan base. But I think that period of 10-15 minutes where we really turned it around, I think that was great. And yeah, let people talk about the fact that before the second goal, Garnacho probably had handled the ball and all of that. I don't care about any of that at this point in time. We are 3-0 up heading into Old Trafford, one foot in the final. Nothing beats that feeling. And I think, yeah, we need to win the next game, go to the final, take revenge against Spurs most likely, and get into the Champions League.
Yeah, man. I mean, Spurs, like for some reason, Spurs have been a boogie team in the recent past. And somehow gets a result against United, but they have a lot of players missing. They are also super inconsistent. So when a team is performing consistently well or consistently unwell, you know what to expect. But Spurs is like, exactly in the same boat as United is, I believe. It shows in the league position as well. And God knows where will the key battles be in that game, because
Yeah.
it could be won and lost anywhere. So yeah, hoping for a good game first of all at Old Trafford. I hope we see Athletic Bilbao off quite easily. They have, of course, they were missing their key target man, and of course there's a red card also now. So we don't know how Athletic Bilbao will come, but we one thing we know for a fact is that in the first half, uh, patience would be key for us. Having cool heads on our shoulders would be key.
Yeah.
So the defense will have to stand tall in the game at
I,
Old Trafford.
we need to play how we did play the first 30 odd minutes, just absorb any sort of pressure that comes in from because they will try and come all guns blazing. They will try to get that early goal. And the farther we still have a 3 goal lead, the more they will panic. And I'm sure we will get chances to score one goal and then have a 4 goal lead. And I think then the tie will be dead. So yeah, it won't be as easy as it sounds. We are United. At the end of the day, we have made a habit of making winnable games difficult. I can't forget the 3-0 lead we had against Coventry in the FA Cup semi-final last year. So yeah, it's not done, but hopefully Ruben Amorim will show the pragmatism and will work with the team to get over this.
The presence of Dillet and Ahmad also helps our case. They
Yeah.
were quite they were given minutes at the end of the game. They might be given minutes at the next game against Brentford. So yeah, their presence is also going to be a big plus for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hopefully, we can win this, get into the Champions League, and see those big European nights again. Talking about that, the topic for today, and it's been what 13 years, close to 13 years, 12 years since Sir Alex Ferguson retired from his role as the manager of the club, and since then we have seen multiple lows, especially in the European competition, maybe highs to some extent, but let's talk about all of that. Where is it that we are in the competition? What does it take for us to succeed? And one thing that I want to start with is in the years leading up to Sir Alex's retirement. 2008, we won the Champions League against Chelsea in Moscow. 2009, we reached the finals, lost to Barcelona. 10, I think it was quarterfinals, lost to Bayern or somebody, I guess. 11, again, we reached the finals. 12, we had a hard loss against Real Madrid. That Nani red card, I think we lost in the round of 16. Very, very unlucky last Champions League game for Sir Alex Ferguson. But we were proper European giants at that point in time, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, all the ex-players do mention this, that the one regret that they have is not winning the European title in more number of times than they did in their peak years, because we were really killing it in the league. I think late 90s was a time when we made that mental shift, that it was the presence of Cantona, everyone mentions, that brought us to the took us to the next level. Otherwise, we were very tentative on the European front. But since then, and since the arrival of Ronaldo, we were proper giants in the European scenes. We were always on the semi-finals, finals,
Yeah.
and I really believe that 2009-11, had it been any other team but prime Barcelona, we would have won those. And I think those were deserved losses. We were a bit arrogant. I think we were arrogant in one of the finals. We were a bit overcautious in the another final.
Yeah.
Both of these approaches didn't work against Barcelona, and it's like you have to tip your hat sometimes to your opponents.
Yeah.
And you know, with Messi, with Xavi, Iniesta, that was like prime Barcelona. That was the best football we have ever seen, like I have ever seen before. And you have to tip your hat to the opposition. But that being said, we still believe that after Sir Alex Ferguson left, maybe we won't reach those heights, but we'd still be there in thereabouts in the European scenes. But that hasn't quite been the scene. Uh, we struggle to, even qualify for Europe quite a number of times. Even this year, as we talk, the only way to enter into the European competition is winning the Europa League. So we have like two big games in front of us. We already discussed. So yeah, I mean, I think we have underachieved after Sir Alex Ferguson. It has been a lot of changing of managers, chopping and changing, but from Moyes to Van Gaal to Mourinho to Ole, nothing seems to have worked. Maybe Mourinho tasted some victory, some taste of European glory in the form of Europa League. But yeah, that is as far as we have gone.
Yeah. No, I think let's discuss each of the years, because I think it jogs a lot of our memories when we talk about each of the year in post Sir Alex Ferguson era. And let's start with this disastrous league campaign that we had this year in 2013, 2014. We had never experienced finishing outside top three in recent memory. And then this year we were what, sixth, seventh? We ended seventh, I think, from what I remember. And in the Champions League, we did well in the group stages. And in the round of 16, we lost that first leg to Olympiacos 2-0 away from home. But in the return leg, Robin Van Persie was clutch, got that hat trick, and we won that tie 3-2. And I think that was a reminder to all of us to say, okay, we are still there. We are around, still one of the best teams in Europe. But then we went on to lose in the quarterfinal. And you remember which team we lost to this year?
Was it Bayern Munich? Because I remember the Evra goal against Bayern Munich, and after that, everything went downhill.
Yeah, that Evra goal was, I think, a bullet from outside the box. Yeah. And yeah, after that, we totally lost the plot there. And next year, we didn't even qualify for Europe. I think has been one of the only years in, last 20, 30 years when we haven't been part of any European competition. And the year after that was one in which Louis van Gaal had gotten us top four again. And we got into the Champions League. But we had a relatively poor Champions League that year. We finished third and dropped into the Europa League rather. And there, in the round of 16, we played Liverpool, who we lost to that year. And I think this was Klopp's first season, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think they reached the finals of Europa League and then eventually
they lost.
Yeah.
So I think this was the time when we were starting to feel like, okay, Champions League starts getting difficult. We didn't qualify last season. We didn't get through the group stage this season. So it started feeling a little difficult for us. And come next year, our man, Jose Mourinho, arrives at the club. He's a specialist in winning trophies. And Europa League, I think, it was a stage for him because he had given up on the league. We finished, seventh at that season as well? Sixth or seventh. So he played the kids in the Europa League, and this sounds so much like this season, right? The first season of a Portuguese manager giving up on the league, and winning the Europa League to qualify the Champions League. And I remember we both were in Mumbai for working for different organizations at that point in time, and I remember watching that game 12:30 to 2:30 at night, winning it, and I think that was a good feeling.
Oh
What?
yeah, I mean, it is as high as you could have felt as a United fan in the past 10 years, and it was also a clash of the Titans. We were playing against Ajax. I remember a certain Onana at that time. A lot of players,
Certain Oriana, certain Ten Hag was managing.
then yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was a brilliant game. I think Mkhitaryan and Pogba were the two scorers in that game, and we won the game with relative ease. And
Yeah.
this was when we had a lot of players injured. I still remember on the sidelines, Zlatan, Luke Shaw, Eric Bailly, these players were like
All
injured. And
dropped their crutches and ran.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Luke Shaw still remains injured, but yeah, like he's coming back now and he's coming back strong. But yeah, this was
Yeah.
as high as we could feel on the European level, and it was not just a entry into a Champions League, but it was also the winning feeling of a trophy which United had somehow forgotten.
Yeah.
We haven't won the league since, I think, FA Cup and Community Shield was, and League Cup. These three
Yeah.
cups were what we had won, and Mourinho still counts this season as winning 3 trophies.
Yeah.
And one of his highest achievements as well. But yeah, brilliant year this was for us.
I'm just thinking as we were talking, 15-16 we won the FA Cup. Louis van Gaal left. Portuguese manager came in, won us the Europa League. Last season we won the FA Cup. Oh, Dutch manager left. Then also
Yep.
it was a Dutch manager. We won the FA Cup. A Portuguese managers in. Hopefully, I think this is written in the stars this year.
And it seems like that.
Yeah. Post that, on the back of it, we qualified for the Champions League. Finished group stages, qualified for the knockouts, and in round of 16, we lost a tie, which I still remember as one of the most boring games United has played. Do you remember the opponents?
I don't for 17-18. This is again, is it Juventus?
No, this was Sevilla, where we played. We, I think, lost the first tie, if I remember correctly, and the second leg, everybody was expecting us to come all guns blazing. But Mourinho played a very, very tepid style. I think he was just hoping to get a goal or two on counter and win it, and that never happened. And we exited the Champions League that year in the round of 16. But thankfully, we qualified for the Champions League again. I think this is on the back of that second finish, which was one of the best finishes as per Mourinho, or one of the best achievement he has had. And we qualified for the group stage. We got through that. We won in the round of 16, and we qualified for the and we reached the quarterfinals this time. Do you remember who was it in the quarterfinals this time? By this time, if I tell you who was the manager, you would know. Ole had joined. So we had beaten PSG in that.
We had beaten PSG, and I think we lost to Bayern Munich again.
No, this was Barcelona. We lost to Barcelona. Yeah, but I think we beat PSG. We Ole got the longer term contract based on that win, where Rio Ferdinand, had that. He said, sign him up, give him a blank check, and all of that. He said, and we qualified for the quarterfinals, but lost to them in the lost to Barcelona in the quarterfinals next year, and post that we only could make the Europa League next year. And this time we reached the semifinals, and this was when COVID-19 had hit us. And, the competition was highly curtailed. And if you remember, it was, in one of the European cities, all the clubs had come in, formed that quarantine bubble, and they were not even having 2 legs. So they were just having 1 leg tie, and I think we lost it to Sevilla once again in the semi-final. Yeah, we lost to Sevilla once again in the semi-final. So
I think Sevilla, Villarreal, they have been our bogey teams for quite a number of years in various competitions.
Yes.
So that is why the victory against, say, Real Sociedad and Athletic Bilbao, any victory against a Spanish opposition tastes sweeter because of these losses, because of the losses against Barcelona, because of the losses again Sevilla, Villarreal. So yeah.
Exactly. And Villarreal, as you were talking about, 2021, we crashed out of the Champions League again, dropped to the Europa League, but reached the finals this time. And this is where that epic penalty shootout happened, which we lost 11-10 to Villarreal. David De Gea missed his penalty. And I think this was one of those moments where, it could have been dramatically different had we won that, because Ole would have had a trophy, the squad would have been confident, etc., etc. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we have had a little bit of a trouble getting through the Spanish team. Then it was another Spanish team in round of 16 in 21-22 in the Champions League. Do you remember which one?
Is it Real Sociedad?
No, this was Atletico Madrid this year, if I remember. Yeah. So it was Atletico Madrid, and then the next time, and this was Europa League. This time we had reached the quarterfinals. It was Sevilla again for the third time, eliminating us from the competition. And if you look at it, since we won the Europa League, Champions League Barcelona, next year Champions League quarterfinals Sevilla, sorry, round of 16 Sevilla, then Barcelona, Sevilla again, Villarreal, Atletico Madrid, Sevilla. So we were only getting knocked out by Spanish teams.
Spanish teams.
Yeah, and then the last one where we lost in the group stages itself. This was the terrible year we had, full of Onana mistakes. In the Champions League, we didn't even qualify third. We dropped to Europa League. We just disappeared from
The
European
European.
competitions altogether. So the only thing that I wanted to sort of end here with is that every other year we have been qualifying for the Champions League, but so we have been there and thereabouts. It's not that we have totally vanished from the Champions League scene, but we've been playing a lot in the Europa League, and we have been getting to knockout stages, doing relatively better in the Europa League, but that inconsistency is there for us to see.
I think it's not just the inconsistency of the team, it's the inconsistency of the management as well. We have discussed this enough number of times. The management invests in the team. We reach the Champions League somehow. We don't manage to not qualify. And the next year, the same level of investment is not there. But yeah, like it is the inconsistency of the team as well as the club which has led to this debacle of us not performing in Europe competitions anymore. I mean, 12 years and the maximum that we have reached is a semi-final in a Europa League. We obviously won the Europa League once, but
Yeah.
Champions League quarterfinal is just not good enough. That too, we reached in the year right after Sir Alex left under the chosen one, David Moyes.
Yeah.
To say that has been the highest we've reached in Champions League doesn't sit right with me.